Hey, what's up, guys? I apologize for yesterday. I don't know what's going on. My internet's been really slow over here at my office, the podcast studio. Got to work this out, figure this out. Hopefully, when we get Kenny back on with us, he can resolve all the stuff because he's our tech guy. So, everybody that tuned in on our YouTube channel yesterday to listen to what Ernesto Gabion from Everlast and from Golden Boy had to say about the Glovegate, if you missed it, obviously it was on Blog Talk Live. But so I'm going to repost it here. You can have a chance to listen to the show. And then after Ernesto Gabion, we had Roberto Diaz, the matchmaker for Golden Boy. And he had a lot to say. We had a lot of questions for him regarding Canelo, Ryan Garcia, and Virgil Ortiz. So if you missed yesterday's show, don't worry about it. I'm airing it now. I won't be on the screen, but you'll be able to hear the audio, and you'll be able to join the chat room. So I'll be around. If you do have some things you want to say in the chat room, I'll post it up here, and we'll go from there. If not, I'll see you next week. We got 2 scheduled guests to come on next week's show. Should be pretty good. And hopefully by then we can get Kenny to help us out on these tech issues that we're having here on Leaving the Ring. If not, well, I'll just have to do the way I've been doing it, which is we'll be on live on Blog Talk. You can call in 347-215-7598 on Monday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then I'll just have to revamp it on YouTube after it's been recorded. And then you could either tune in and watch it here as well. We didn't have a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff to talk about. Keith Thurman, the upcoming cards of Top Rank. Tonight there's some fights on Top Rank. COVID is still winning. COVID is still getting KOs on fighters, so not preventing them to step into the ring. A lot of things to talk about. We didn't have a chance to catch up with it. So maybe this Friday I'll go live and we'll definitely touch on some of those things because we didn't even get a chance to get to the heavyweight report that we had kind of like set up to do and everything. So hopefully, what's up, Johnny? Hopefully we'll be able to get that going and, with that, right? So anyways, here it is, man. Last night's show with Ernesto Gabion and Roberto Diaz.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, leave it in the ring.
Yeah, I think I finally got it.
You finally got through, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thank you.
I don't know what happened here, man. It was, I could hear the call going through, and then it would drop you all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was dropping me. It could have been the connection on my end. I don't know, but I even took it off of like the Wi-Fi here, and it was still kind of choppy. So I just switched it to a different network, one that's mostly dedicated to the like TV and the Netflix and stuff like that, and it seemed to have worked.
I think it has something to do with my kids. I just texted right now, Mom. Get off your games, please. You're killing me over here, man. You know?
Oh man, my oldest grandson kills our bandwidth here because he plays Call of Duty all fucking day.
I'm telling you, bro.
Day.
Both my boys. Here's the crazy thing. I was living about a mile away from where I bought my other house right now. The last house we sold, it was a bigger place, okay? And because my kids were like they were like in that whole I'm moving out, you know what I mean, vibe. I'm moving out. I'm not gonna live here anymore. I'm gonna go to college. One of them was like, I'm gonna go to Arizona. The other one's I'm going to San Diego. They both decided, nah. After me and the wife decided, okay, we're gonna get rid of this big house. We're gonna move in a smaller place. And then they decided, no, we're not gonna go anywhere. We're gonna go school here. And they're swallowing up all my bandwidth, you know. So I'm like, holy shit. So I only got this like AT&T because that's all I can get out over here because I live out here in the sticks, you know. Which shouldn't even be considered. Because Modesto, it's starting to become like, I'm not going to say like a city, because everybody goes, oh, it's a city, but, you know, just because you have a few, you know, buildings up, dude, you're not LA or you're not the Silicon Valley. We don't even have skyscrapers here. I think the tallest building we have here, it probably goes about 8 stories high. So it's not that big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you would think that because they're starting to build more shit, we got now they're building a Dave and Buster's, that they would start bringing Verizon or somebody else better out here, because AT&T, you guys suck. It's not that great. It's really bad over here. Anyway,
it's crazy for us. I mean, because even where I live in Pico Rivera, certain wireless providers, they're not allowed in here, but others are that are slower bandwidth. So we're kind of trapped with Spectrum, and it's okay. Yeah. But we share it with. I was talking to the person for DirecTV because I was thinking of switching back to DirecTV, and I was asking about their wireless internet connection, and they're saying that the biggest they could do is 6 megabits, which is barely livable, and but he told me that the inside scoop about Spectrum is that while they offer you a lot of bandwidth, it's shared amongst your area. Right. So you can experience peak time slowness, and he also said that if you have someone who's constantly on their video games, that could affect you. I was like, it makes sense, but it is what it is until I can figure out, find a better provider. This is the hand I'm dealt with.
Yeah. So, you've seen the multiple videos that have been posted up on YouTube about the glovegate. That's the new thing right now that's trending through the internet. The glovegate situation between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Here's the thing. Let me stop you right there. This isn't even glovegate.
Okay.
The glovegate was initially is Maidana Mayweather. That's glovegate. Oh. This is nothing. This is just a bunch of conspiracy theorists who think that they know anything about gloves, but yet never really ask anybody in the glove business if their theories were factual. And, I'm sure myself, the team at Reyes, I'm sure Grant Elvis Phillips would have told them the same. This is a bunch of hooey. You can't keep, dragging people down in the mud that stake their whole lives in what they put on the fighter's hands. And it was just insulting to hear all the conspiracy theorists, as to why, Fury did this, did his glove look like that? It was pathetic. Now, the original glovegate, Mayweather Maidana, that was a little bit more layered and and just, it was actually, it had teeth to it, whereas this is just actually silly.
Yeah, am I wrong to say, man, that it comes down to nationality? Because I was talking about this before we got cut off on YouTube. For some reason, YouTube just fell off. But I was saying was this, because it's not like we haven't seen this before, Ernie, where when you have the Great White Hope, remember that? Gary Cooney, the Great White Hope. There was a lot of folks. Imagine if the internet was at that time, the internet would have broke. It was the Great White Hope. Here's a guy that was going to bring back boxing to the world, folks. It didn't happen. Now you had a long reign for boxing in terms of that there wasn't a black or African American to reign as a heavyweight. And because here's the fact is that Lennox Lewis or anybody else that's not from the States is not considered to a lot of folks as an African American or a black guy. They look at him as a guy from the overseas. He's got a UK. He sounds like a UK guy. He's got to be a white guy. He's not. I can't identify with them. So there is no case in no way, no how he's a black guy. Did we see a lot of guys from here in the States that fall into that trap where they looked at Deontay Wilder as being the black hope? And that's why they can't accept the fact that some guy from the UK by the name of Tyson Fury came over here and just destroyed them.
Well, I don't think it's racist per se. I do think a lot of prejudices come out when, their favorite fighters, someone's favorite fighters faces adversity. And it's the one thing about this sport we have to understand is that it's no LA Lakers, there's no LA Dodgers where you can reach the whole entire team composed of different nationalities and races. These fighters walk in individually, and a lot of fans, rightfully so, identify with the color that, or the nationality, or the race that the fighter is, and I get that. Totally get that. I've had the privilege of being media and Everlast, and now Golden Boy, and the one thing that I think I successfully navigate is the ability not to put my nationalities and race into it, because I'm Mexican and Filipino, and I'm colorblind when it comes to fights. I'm totally colorblind. I don't give preference, nor do I give, hindrance towards someone based off of who they are, the color of their skin or anything like that. But it does happen, and it is prevalent in our sport. And I'd venture to say that a lot of the theories that came out of with regards to Fury's gloves, it came from some African Americans. I think there's a group that LDBC, Lions Den Boxing, something that thrives on that. And I know they went into it with Ishe Smith over some of the things that they were saying, and Ishe killed them.
Yeah, they went into deep with Ishe Smith.
Yeah, and Ishe killed them. One man killed a whole entire group, in my opinion. And if they're crying about the inequalities in boxing,
right now,
they really don't have a leg to stand on. If you think about it, because a lot of the theories were, they're not promoting African American fighters correctly. But if you look, Floyd Mayweather was one of the biggest draws to ever grace a boxing ring. Terrence Crawford can sell 10,000 seats away from Omaha. He sold 10,000 for his Khan fight. Errol Spence, everybody kept saying Errol Spence is only going to be able to sell that much in Dallas, but he comes to Staples Center in L.A. and damn near sells it out. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury practically sell out Staples Center here in L.A., do a great number in Las Vegas for the rematch. So I think fans, true hardcore fans, they don't care about the color. They just care about the fight and the magnitude of the fight. So I hope
but Ernie, let's talk about the color. Let's forget about that, because we all know as boxing fans, we erase the color. Every hardcore boxing fan has got a favorite fighter that doesn't even belong in their same nationality or ethnic. Okay, but let's talk about the guys right now. Walk me through, because you're a guy that's been with Everlast for, I don't even over a decade, or maybe a decade already. Okay, right?
Yeah, since 2008.
Okay, so there we go. So walk me through this. Okay, so how does it roll out? Give me roll out the carpet for me. If I'm a fighter and I ask for a particular gloves, okay? What is the process of me getting these gloves? How is it brought to me? Is there a bunch of people? Do I have a chance? I guess the question is, do I have a chance to tamper with these gloves before I either get to the stadium, get inside the ring, and before the fight starts?
I can't speak on any other brands. I don't know the process because I'm not employed by them. What I can tell you is how we do it at Everlast. Okay, this is specifically to custom colored gloves in championship fights, which is what a Wilder Fury fight was. Anything that we custom colored, especially in Nevada, we are to send them to Bob Bennett at the Nevada State Athletic Commission the Wednesday before the fight. So it's not even, we can't even walk them in on Friday. They have to be to Bob Bennett by Wednesday. Okay. Bob Bennett from the commission takes them and puts them away. Yeah, I'm sure if it's, I'm probably guessing it's in his office, and he keeps them there until weigh-in. From there, once the weigh-in, it depends. A lot of commissions like to do the glove selection prior to the weigh-in. Some do it after. But there is a time and place where the fighter camps come in, the gloves are laid out on a table by the commission, and the fighters and their teams go through and inspect not only their gloves, but their opponent's gloves. So at some point, Fury's gloves were inspected by Deontay Wilder's team. It's like that for every major fight. So if someone had an issue with the gloves on Wilder's side, they should have brought it up then. And then they could have protested. And normally, 9 times out of 10, if someone has a problem specifically with that pair of gloves or that specific run of gloves, there are backups. Usually, like if we have, say, like someone protests one of our gloves, you know, because they don't like the color, they don't like it, anything, we have stock backups just in case, and we'll present the stock backups. The commission will look at them, fighter teams will look at them, and they go through. This is specific to like anything like custom coloring, custom logos, stuff like that. You know, and there's just no way possible on a fight of that level with titles on the line and arguably one of the best commissions in the world in Nevada. There's no way you could sneak one through. You couldn't. You could, you know, back in the day before the Maidana Mayweather fight, I could walk in gloves literally minutes before the glove selection. So from my hands to the commission's hands, you know, it could have been a transition of minutes. But now it's not even close to that. I mean, California Commission, they require 3 pairs, one to hold. One for the primary, one backup, and then one to hold just in case. Same
so
thing
what
with
changed that though? What changed that? What made that
Mayweather
happen?
Maidana.
Really?
Mayweather Maidana changed the Nevada.
Wow.
They changed. It used to be able to present gloves on a Friday afternoon after the weigh-in. No one had seen them until I present them to the commission. Now it's a whole different process. They go through, like with California, they'll open each pair of gloves, inspect them, because they've been trained to inspect these different models, because that's another thing that we do. Before a glove gets introduced to the masses, we send them out to all the commissions. So like if we made a change to our next glove, you know, that's significant enough that we need to kind of almost change the glove, we send them off to all the major commissions. And then, you know, if someone else fights, you know, in a different state, we'll send it off to the commission to say, hey, this is the glove. But any changes, any moves, any additions to our glove line have to go to the commission. So not only are they aware of custom coloring, custom making gloves for fighters, but they're also have to make themselves aware of each and every model that comes in. So in this case, with the rematch in Vegas, the glove that Fury wore was Poffin, European brand. So somewhere down the line, Team Fury, Poffin, and Nevada had to agree, okay, you need to send us these gloves so we can approve them prior to putting them on Fury's hands. So, and this is done weeks in advance. So when we introduced our Elite glove, we had to send them out to all the major commissions for approval, and you know, and it's a long process. They, you know, especially on the states that really are stringent upon gloves. You know, they'll say, hey, we need another pair. You know, we cut this one open, so we want to actually feel what it feels on impact. We want to have someone try it with wraps, and then finally they will say, okay, this is approved for competition. So it's a long process to get pair of gloves to the hands of a fighter, especially at that level.
Wow, that is so interesting, man. You know, I got
what the funny thing is? the funny thing is that no one really asked a glove person. It doesn't even have to be me, but no one really asked a glove person if this was a legit argument. And they would have said, no, it's not a legit argument. There's too much to get this. Camera. They didn't win. But see, here's the commission is there at the whole time. They're there. They're sitting down. They're making sure that nothing gets by. And a representative from Wilder's team has to go over there to observe the hand wrapping. So
right.
There's too many hurdles to overcome to get one by.
Ernie, it's Amilcar. I'd like to hear from you and to hear your expert opinion and insight on this. And it's great to hear you again. I used to actually listen to your show back when you had one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was today.
Yeah.
The thing is, you mentioned the video. BT Sport entire hand thing YouTube. And you said multiple pairs are given. All the pairs are actually inspected by the opposing camp, and they're there to watch the whole hand wrapping process. So what was your first reaction?
I was laughing until I realized that people were actually serious.
So same as me, pretty much.
I really seriously thought it was for shits and giggles that they were just, mind fucking someone. But then they were legit, and it went on, not just for a couple of days. It went on for a second, a third week, and I'm like, really? I mean, if this is the way I see it, if the conspiracy people thought there was something legitimately wrong with the gloves, they would have to ask someone who works in the glove making business to say, hey, is there something legit? And I venture to say that there wouldn't be a single person that sat there and said, yes, you're onto something, because it's not possible or feasible to alter a glove from the time, because here's the thing, once the gloves are selected for the fight, they're sealed up, put in bags, and they go back with the commission. So nobody sees these gloves until the commission arrives in the fighter's dressing room, gives them, here's your number one primary pair, here's the backup pair, and that's it. That's clearly that's it. These gloves don't ever really sit in the hands of a fighter for any period of time, other than to put them on and take them off, or to try them. Put them on either at the weigh-in or at the fight, and then take them off. So this whole thing about Fury, having to put it at the cuff, and or you could see, look at the way it bends. No glove bends like that, and that's actually not true. Softer, pliable gloves made with a softer leather will bend like that. And the reason why isn't necessarily to make it a puncher's glove. I think that's just kind of the residual factor out of it. More so to carry with your hands your opponent's shots. We make our gloves like the MX glove is our softest glove. so that way you can actually parry your opponent's shot. And it's a soft glove. I think it goes without saying that it is a soft glove. But a lot of these gloves, especially out of Mexico, are soft like that for that very purpose. So, I mean, I couldn't take. I never replied to anybody with it, because even when they were going on and on and on, and they were taking it as a serious debate, I just sat there and observed it for the comedic value of it.
So let me ask you this, okay? Because what I've seen with a lot of these conspiracy theorist people, or these people that are truly believing that this is the thing that's happened, there's two things, Ernie. I don't know if you remember the first thing. Let me just kind of backtrack here. I don't know if you remember when I texted you, is there horsehair in gloves? And you said, yes, there is.
Yes.
So my question is, because what they're having, this is what these guys do. They're not bringing in a glove expert. What they're doing is they'll bring on a coach that nobody's ever heard of. Some of these coaches I've never heard of. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if I haven't. Maybe I'm not paying attention too much because of the COVID-19. So I apologize if I'm insulting anybody that's a coach. But I've never heard of you. And you're throwing up your expertise standpoint, and they're saying, Ernie, that there's a strong possibility they take out the horsehair, but right when they're walking into the ring. So this is my question: how much percentage of horsehair in the gloves, and how much of the regular padding that they're putting now is in the glove? And if they're taking out whatever the horsehair, could that make a major factor? And could they possibly do something like that? You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to play along with that, could they do something like that?
Well, here's the thing. Okay. So in the glove manufacturing, the way we do it, there's these nylon sacks that basically hold the materials of a glove inside of it. So foam, horsehair, different layers, different types of foam. Like our Power Lock glove is made of, I want to say, 3 different types of foam for various reasons. Closer to your knuckle is more protective. A little bit outside is a thinner layer for impact. But all of these gloves are sewn together in nylon packets called tech packs. So if no actual materials are exposed, in other words, they're wrapped up in these nylon packs, and then the leather is put on them, there's no way for anybody to take a hole out of it and start pulling stuff out of the glove. That's been prevented that's been in measure for a long time. Because yes, back in the day when they just stuffed a glove with whatever materials compromised the gloves at the time, yeah, you can start pulling stuff out, or you can start picking a hole in the nylon, the nylon sleeve for the hand. You can start pulling it out. But now that's not the case anymore, because all these gloves are now filled with a cartridge full of foam called a nylon tech pack. So there's no way you can get it through, pick at it, and start picking stuff out of it. There's just no way. It doesn't work that way. And it's funny because everybody talks about the Fury Wilder stuff, but I had to go back to my Mayweather Maidana to learn all about this, because I had to show the commission the nylon tech pack out of an MX glove to show them that there's no way that we can alter it. I had to show them, the actual specs. It's actually the blueprint of our MX fight glove. We had to commission that. We got on several radio shows. Kevin Aioli did an article. Steve Kim did an article. So, this was all the way back in 2012 when they fought, or I forgot when they fought, but yeah, so, it's old news to me. So when they start coming up with these conspiracy theories, and I see these guys, pulling out their Big Five, what's the name? The Big Five Century, vinyl glove, and they're showing us how you could, take the Velcro off and put it halfway down to your cuff. First off, I'm sitting there saying, okay, wait, they do realize these gloves are laced up, but there's no way you can use a Velcro glove in a title fight like that, or any type of professional fight like that.
Ernie, you know what I heard? This is what I heard. I heard they weren't using horse hair. That what was happening, it was goat hair. That's why it was softer. And that's why every time you heard Fury punch, you would hear the bah, bah. I don't know. That's what I heard, man. Let me ask you this, because you were there for the Madonna and Mayweather. The bottle being, I think this is a bigger story here. The bottle being thrown by the Garcias, did it have Gatorade or was it water that was in the bottle? Answer me that.
I have no idea.
You liar. Man, you were there. I heard you were filling up. I heard you were filling it up with Gatorade.
Honestly and truthfully, when we walked out of that fiasco and on our way to Hard Rock for because there was a card that day after the weigh-in. I want to say Ishe Smith fought that Friday, and we were on our way to the Hard Rock. Everybody kept saying, fights off. Robert Garcia was telling me, fuck him, fuck Floyd, fights off. We're not going to fight him. We wear MX. So that was it. I mean, I was for all intents. Because here's what happened. So the custom-colored Maidana gloves we made, nobody approved them. They didn't like them. They kept going back and forth. The commission even said, this is a legit glove. We've inspected it, this and that. But Floyd Sr. and their lawyer and Leonard too, kept insisting, no, you're not going to fight in this glove. So this is what happened. Since we had a card that day at the Hard Rock, we had enough stock Red MX to send over. So we pulled as many Red MXs as we could, sent them over to the weigh-in, and we laid them out. Commission said these didn't stock. Floyd Sr. and Leonard didn't even bother looking at them. Said, no, I don't care where you got these from. I don't care if they're stock. He's not fighting in the glove, no matter what. So for all intents and purposes, that fight was off. I mean, I walked out of there. I interviewed with Fight Hype, and I said, hey, I think the fight's off. I'm talking
Can I ask you something, Ernie? If that happens, who's financially responsible for the card being canceled? It's got to be the Mayweather camp, right?
Yeah, I would say no one wins at this. I would say, honestly, to be frank, I would say you'd probably still have legal ramifications out of this to that day if it didn't come off. I would think there would still be lawsuits pending. I mean, it was a real tangled mess that we were in, and from what I understand from Maidana's side, a little cash was given to their side, and the fight came off. But for a long spell, till about 9:30, I got a call from Leonard Ellaby. He said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." So I go down to the VIP area at MGM, and we're talking. He goes, "You know what? I respect you. You really fought for your glove, and you gave us all the factual information. But truth of the matter is that no way will Floyd fight Maidana in that glove." And I told him, I said, you do understand, Cotto did fight in this glove before. And he goes, "Yeah, I know. But that was a different weight. Those were 10-ounce gloves. We're talking about 8-ounce gloves." I said, "Fair enough." He goes, "But there's been an agreement." I said, "Okay." So I said, "What is Maidana wearing?" "He's going to wear your glove, but it's going to be the power lock." I said, "Okay, fine. That's as long as Maidana's happy with it, that's fine." So, so what
was the difference?
The power lock is all foam, and it's a glove that's made overseas. I want to say India. It might be made in India. I forget offhand where it's made, but yeah, it's an all foam glove. It's got a detached thumb, so that way the thumb positioning is a little bit more natural to the hand. So it's actually.
But explain this to me, Ernie, because I know you have sparring gloves and then you have training gloves. I mean, is that the difference? Is there a difference in what the Mayweather camp was asking for?
Well, I think they wanted to make sure that Maidana fought in a glove that was all foam, that was a little bit stiffer than what the MX offered. Now, to get to your question about sparring, training, and stuff like that, sparring, training gloves, stuff like that, they're the professional level and just below the professional level. They're built to last. They're built to withstand, a couple hundred rounds of heavy bag or sparring or whatever. The fight gloves, and everybody's fight gloves are the same. They're not built necessarily to last a couple hundred rounds. They're built to last maybe, I don't know, at max 40 rounds, 4 10-round fights at max. And you shouldn't be using them. Now, smaller promoters will keep using and recycling gloves until, they literally fall off their hands. But at a bigger level, generally, promoters will only use a glove a couple times. They keep track of all this, how many rounds it's done. If it's only done 1 round, great, we can use them for a couple more fights. If it's done 10 rounds, all the sweat, all the water.
And what does that determine, though? Ernie, what does that determine? What is like the stitching? What is it? How do they determine that? Is it the way it's stitched up, the foam or the horsehair that's provided inside the glove?
If I were to discontinue a glove out of circulation for a fight, mostly because of the impact area has been pushed in a little bit or compensated a little bit. It's basically off of usage. You also have to count when a fighter gets doused in water, that water goes down his arm, and it filters into the glove. Now, all that water soaks into the foam, and it starts depressing the foam a little bit. So now you've got a glove filled with water where the foam is now kind of soggy. So if you're continuing to punch someone with that, then it starts impacting the foam just a little bit more to where it's almost thinning out the foam. So big usage gloves like that, you're not going to get that with a fight glove. It's just not. No one in their right mind would do that. And that's every manufacturer. They're not necessarily built to withstand 200, 300 rounds like a good training glove. It's more, it's more like I always liken it to like fight gloves are basically a race car with no frills, no luxuries, nothing. It's just a race car. It's meant to go fast. Training gloves are your luxury SUVs. They're gonna be the most comfortable thing that you have. And that's kind of the difference between the two. Fight gloves are meant.
Sounds like my condoms. The rigid. Oh, sorry. This is a family program. My bad. I forgot all about it.
I've got a different question out of kind of left field.
Go ahead.
But are there like vegan gloves that are not made with like animal products?
There are. Actually, our Elite Pro training line.
Yeah.
It feels like leather, but it's not. It's not leather. And I would venture to say our Elite Pro line. The reason why I know this is because former baseball player Ricky Romero, a good friend of mine, I sent him some gear, and he really liked the gloves. And he goes, it's too bad my wife's vegan. She doesn't like to put anything. I said, actually, our Elite glove. He goes, no. I said, yeah. He goes, it feels like leather. I said, no, I know, but it's synthetic. He goes,
oh, that's
awesome.
So we do make a synthetic leather glove that's very, very durable, very durable. I would venture to say our Elite training gloves are the longest gloves we have.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's interesting. That's like wow. I would have never thought about that, or would have noticed the difference.
You have to take into account. You have to take into account things like that. If you really want to be a successful, company, you have to take into account everything, and we do.
You remember back in the day where everybody used to think that the Reyes gloves were the puncher's glove? How hard was it for you guys as a brand to kind of change that perspective of that? Because that's not true, right, Ernie?
It took a lot. I mean, honestly, when I came in 2008, the preferred training glove was the preferred fight gloves were Reyes, and for the very reason that you said. But when we when they hired me, when Everlast hired me, they were on the verge of launching 3 different gloves: the Protex 3, the 1910, and then the MX. The Protex 3 was the most protective. It was a high-density foam. It was very minimal impact to your hands. The 1910 was kind of the next evolution of our generic, basic, everyday fight glove. And then the MX was our foam and horsehair, really soft leather puncher's glove. And, it was hard to convince people to give our glove a chance, especially since we went through some growing pains with that glove, because we tried to get the fit just right to where I think we had problems with it, like closing a fist. So if you didn't close the fist, it would hurt your hand. And we really tried hard to remedy a lot of the issues we had way back in the day, to the point where I think right around, I don't know, maybe a year later, we started perfecting it, and it became a really high-performance glove for us. In fact, I would venture to say that the MX is probably more favored than our Powerlock. Our Powerlock is probably our most widely sought across the board glove, because for like promoters, you can reuse it, because since it's foam, it doesn't break down as much as, say, the MX. But our MX is the preferred glove. I mean, and we've perfected it and kind of just tinkered with it to the point where I think it's a really good glove. It's a weird science. I'm telling you. People think that all you're doing is stuffing foam into a leather thing and there's a glove. It's an exact science. I befriended our design manager, our design guy, and he would show me all the sciences that goes into it, all the stuff, all the prototypes he would have of just various things, of various gloves, various ideas was mind-boggling. I mean, some of the stuff he was showing me on my last visit was like, and not even thought of. I mean, I couldn't even think of it. It's just a creative science to it, and it's got to be an exacting science, because I mean, if you put too much foam,
it really does
make it too bulky. Yeah,
right.
It can be a non. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because like my oldest son, Tristan, it's just like me. My wrist is one of those where you got to work out the most, because it'll bend when you punch. Like when I jab, my wrist will hurt immediately, and I know, like, using like a Grant glove, which are very good gloves. I'm not knocking them down. They're very good glove, okay? But they don't hold your wrist the same way an Everlast. Like, you wear that, there's a completely different padding that it's more tight around your wrist. So even if you hand wrap it, and you hand wrap it correctly around your wrist, it just gives you like a little extra support above your wrist, going over your forearm and your knuckle, and it helps to strengthen out. So there is a science to it, and knowing that, I used to think before, like, a glove is a glove. Like, that's why the old timers used to wear socks, and it's not that way. That's why the old timers, their hands used to get busted up. They had hand problems. Now you're hearing more. You don't really. I mean, actually, you're not hearing a whole lot where fighters are saying they're having a lot of hand problems because of the gloves. Gloves are being used for catering to specific way of a person gloving them on and throwing a punch. It really is a science, man. I agree with you.
Yep, it's a science, and there's different materials now. It's not just basic foam, basic horsehair, basic things. There's different leathers. There's different types of impact foam. There's just the way a glove can be constructed. Where you back pad it more for wrist protection, or you front load it for more hand protection, and you have to get it just right to make sure that it's protective enough to not hurt your hands through several rounds, but still have enough impact to where you get your punches across, or the weight transferring of a punch, is maximized. It's like anything that's professional. It's like a golf club. You put the weight here to make it go higher. You put the weight here to make it, draw more or stay low or cut through wind, and it's like the same thing with boxing gloves. It's a science, and it's very, very exact and specific.
Before I let you go, because we got to patch in our next call, our next guest here, and I apologize for everybody that's on hold, but I had these two interviews here that I really wanted, and I thought it was very important to have them on, Ernesto Gabion and Robert Diaz and stuff.
Let me stay on for Robert.
Okay, I'm gonna let you stay on for Robert. So here's my last. I got more questions for you if you're gonna stay on with this. Let me ask you this: the COVID-19 hits. You get the dream job that everybody wanted. Okay, let's just like throw it out there, bro. Here you get this, okay? And you know what?
Yeah.
I think it went to the right guy, because
thank you.
Here you are. You go around and you speak to all the fighters. You're always in the mix. Not just with the fighters. You talk to the fans on Twitter, and you really wear your heart on your sleeve, man. I mean,
I do.
I sometimes look at you. Honestly, when I read some of your stuff, Ernie, I go, Ernie, why the fuck would you review that? Like, why would you say that? Like, why would you put yourself out like that sometimes? But then I realize this is who you are. This is what you're made of. Like, there's no in between. Either I'm not gonna like you or I'm gonna love you. Am I wrong about that?
Yep. No, you're right. I always say that who I am on my socials is exactly who I am in real life. And the reason why is because I don't want someone to be surprised that I act the way I do. Now I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I accept that. At first, I was really it was upsetting because you want everybody to like you, but then you have to understand that through 20 plus years of being in boxing now, you're not going to please everybody. Not everybody's going to vibe to you like that, and you pick and choose your battles, and you find that the core people in your life that really can influence you, really do become a mentor. And in fact, your next guest is probably the biggest mentor in my life. I take his word as gospel. He tells me to do something. You can ask him. Within minutes, I'm done. I say here, and he's guided my path. Great. I have zero complaints about it. I mean, he's the one who recommended me to Everlast. He's the one who I would confide in and saying, bro, I really want to make this my livelihood. And he goes, well, one day you and I will work together. And I'm like, okay. That translated into Golden Boy, but if he ever left Golden Boy, I don't think he ever will, but if he ever left, I would follow him. He's the reason why I continue to love the sport. And picking guys like that, picking guys like Robert Diaz and Sergio Diaz, Margarito's manager, who basically gave me every chance under the sun to find sparring partners, to make it for people, to make gloves.
I remember that
towards the end of his career. So he gave me the opportunity that a lot of fighters, and Frank Espinosa, he trusted me with all his fighters when I first started. He said, okay, here's Luis Ramos, here's Ronnie Rios, go ahead and make them, and they'll fight in your gloves, and now we're going on 15 years of friendship. I mean, I consider him and Frankie friends more so than workers. Robert Garcia has, I think, pushed me to that next level because, I kept building champions, him and Frank Espinosa and Cameron Duncan. I kept building champion after champion for Everlast. And these guys, they trusted me with their fighters, and they trusted me with their their fighters' careers, and making sure that that their fighters are taken care of with training gear, and if they needed something at the gym. So, I mean, you build yourself up to a nice little core of people that you can trust, then, everything else kind of falls in place. And not everybody's going to, when you shake out and you see what you got and you're reading your tea leaves, not everybody's going to like what you are, what you've become. And that's fine. But I like who I am. I'm at a stage now where I like who I am.
So so I gave you the praise. And my question, that wasn't a question. That was me, saying that. Congratulations.
Yeah.
My question is this: Victor Ortiz, there was a genuine dislike for him, right? Am I wrong about that? There was a genuine dislike for him, or you had a nickname. Maybe it wasn't a dislike, but you had a nickname for him. Can you refresh my memory about that nickname?
I don't remember that. I know what Brandon Rios used to call him all the time.
It was Brandon Rios' name. That's right. It was Brandon Rios that used to have that.
Yeah,
nickname
I never
for
really.
him.
I mean, Vic and I've talked to him several times. He's actually, he's unique, but I mean, we've never really, had real beef. Him and Brandon.
But you didn't agree with it. But I remember this. Like, you didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that he did, right?
Oh no, I don't think a lot of people did. But see, here's the thing: a huge Victor Ortiz fan when he was with Top Rank and his pro debut on a Showbox, and I was a huge fan of this kid. And then you start hearing the grumblings of I'm unhappy, and then he takes at a hardship where he can fight under Golden Boy for one fight, and then he ends up signing with Golden Boy. And I think what everybody thought he would be versus what he ended up being was his downfall. And it's really not his fault. He is who he is. I mean, honest to goodness, he's not changed. I mean, he's still the same kind of goofy, I do my thing. Right. If you don't like it, too bad, bro. Bro, too bad. That's who I am. I think he struggled in who he was. Yeah.
Am I wrong about
I think
that?
Our expectations of him.
Right.
It really, I think it played a lot on him. But if you look at it, he's a multi-time champ. I think he was champ at 40 and 47? And he's had some
great fights.
Yeah, and he made a lot of money out of it. So it's not as if his career was a failure. I just think the expectations that were laid upon him versus what he really was a lot, and put a lot of pressure on Vic. And
but
I don't
you
want to
agree
make him
that
out
he
to be
took
the
on
sympathetic
fights,
figure.
though? But let me ask you this: do you think he fought everybody, right? Like, he was willing to take on, right? Yeah, that's. So let me ask you this:
him and Amir Khan fought everybody.
You
can't complain about these guys. They fight
cannot.
People.
They fight people.
They're out of their weight class too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Out of their weight class, whatever they got to do to make a fight, because they believe in themselves. Some of it's money, but they believe in themselves.
So let me ask you this, Ernie, because here we are on Twitter, and you said something to me, and I was like, okay, I'll wait till I get Ernie on, because I want to hear your full thought about this, because Twitter can only give you so many characters before I can really understand it, and I want to hear the whole thing, especially when it comes from somebody that's so important to the sport. And I consider you one of the more important guys in the sport. Like, I take what you say, as something that should be heard, you know what I mean? And listened to. Ryan Garcia. Am I wrong to, like, not care for this kid, to be so critical of this kid, Ernie? Like, I mean, you think of Victor Ortiz, you think of Amir Khan. These are guys that they fought everybody. Why can I not get the same theme from Ryan Garcia? And how come you don't feel the same way?
I don't feel the same way because I think he wants it. I think there's a desire in him for greatness. I think what's happening to Ryan, and I can't speak upon the actual stuff that I know as to what's happening with Ryan, but I do know that I think it's an old phrase. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I mean, I know it's politically incorrect to say this now that we're changing the Redskins name and so forth. But that's an old saying. There's too many chefs, not enough waiters. Maybe that's the best way to say it. But I think a lot of people are talking to him, and he can't. And he's lost. Maybe he's lost his voice. Maybe he's lost his voice, because I know when he first got to Golden Boy, it was the feel-good story, because he was the kid, the internet sensation who could fight a little bit, but turns out he can fight a lot. Because I really think he's a badass fighter. I really, really think he's a badass. I think we haven't seen the best of Ryan yet. He signs with Golden Boy. They take a shot at him because basically he's building himself into this internet sensation, but more so he's building himself into this SoCal must-see attraction. You know, he'd fight a lot in Tijuana. His first early manager, Roger Ruiz, would take a shot at him and, you know, with him. And finally it paid off to where he signs with Golden Boy, and that's where it really starts to take off. Uh-oh.
No, keep going and keep.
Is that me?
I'm calling Robert.
Okay. So now we've gotten to the
call
point
has
now
been
where
forwarded to an automatic voice message system. When you have.
Okay, so now.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
With Ryan, you know, I don't think the goal has changed. I just think that maybe his surroundings have changed to where it's a little bit cloudier to kind of find his path again, and it happens. It happens to a lot of fighters to where, you know, you're enjoying the fruits of the successes that you've had, but with those successes now comes another number of people who know, quote unquote, what's best for you, and they kind of, you know, draw you further away from what your original goal was because they think that path is better than what your goal was, and turns out that if you stick to your guns and your original goal is to championships by age this, you know, the money falls. The money will follow. I mean, there are time and time again people who sat the course and now are making money. I mean, you know, it happens all the time to where, I mean, I think I truly believe that if Terrence Crawford didn't have the true fundamental belief in himself, because think about it, Terrence Crawford is everything that's right in boxing. You know, he didn't ask for a lot. His time came. He was ready to fight. Replacement, the undercard of Rios Alvarado too. He jumped right to the champ, and he said he can be that level. So he earned everything that he got, and he trusted the path of his early manager Cameron Duncan, his now manager Brian Bomack, and Talkrank. And now he's making money. He's making the money that he had faith he would always make. That's belief in yourself. The expectancy to get money, you know, quick right away. I don't blame them. They're fighters. I can't tell someone, hey, you're not supposed to be making this much. You know, this is their livelihood. Far be it for me to tell someone you shouldn't be making this. I'm not that judge. But don't let the money cloud the path that you're taking. Because if your path is never about money, you making it about the money now changes the whole direction of what you're supposed to be doing. And
I definitely like what you're saying, but I gotta ask Roberto Diaz, who we have on the line. Roberto, are you there?
I'm here, guys. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Thank you for joining us here on Leaving the Ring with myself, Dave Duenez, in the mill call. Ernesto got here.
Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to listen to you guys and you know, obviously to be on. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's a family affair, I guess. We got Ernie, so you got 2 for 1 today.
I know.
Yeah,
definitely, man.
I was telling him about how much of a mentor you are.
For the good things, only for the good things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know. I get up to your food level, though.
So here's my question for as a matchmaker, which I gotta say, one of the best in the business, man. You know, I think a lot of things that you've done. A lot of things that you've done with Golden Boy. Because I used to say in the beginning, I think my biggest criticism in the beginning of Golden Boy when you guys started off, which was a very young company, was that it's got to get better. The fights have definitely gotten better. But how difficult is it for a matchmaker that's got one superstar
and a potential superstar that we're not seeing right now. I mean, we're not seeing these guys. How frustrating is it for you, so that you're going out and you're getting these opponents and nobody's signing on to take the deed to step into the ring with one Canelo, who I thought anybody would want to step in with them, but nobody's doing it. And then you got Garcia, where we're reading right now that he doesn't want to step in the ring with so-and-so because he's got to first figure out what is going on between him and Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy.
Well, let's one, it's the times. We're in unknown, territory. We've never been here before. But otherwise, I mean, under normal circumstances, you would find a dozen opponents that want to fight Canelo. However, not for the right reasons. They want to fight Canelo because, they want to pay. They want to pay. And you know what? Somewhat, it should be that way, and some it is that way. But when they're trying to take it to another level, like I want to retire with this, that's where you got to question their mentality. Look, go and beat Canelo. Go and beat him. Not just show up and collect a payday. How many opponents we have in there and don't try? They're okay because, hey, at the end of the day, I get paid. That's the mentality. The mentality is, I want to be the best. I got to beat the best. And once I beat the best, I'm going to make millions of dollars after that. But not just by saying, I hit the lottery, I'm going to fight Canelo. I already made it. And some of go back to the 80s or even in the 2000s, and you didn't have that mentality. You had, I want to fight him because I want to beat him, because in order to be considered a great fighter, I have to beat guys like this.
Right.
That mentality is not. That's like, as far as frustrating, no, because obviously when this first started, the pandemic, I didn't think it was going to be 100+ days. I said, okay, it'll be a couple weeks. We're going to be shut down. Then a couple weeks turned into 2 more weeks. Now it's like, California just got locked down once again today. And it's like, okay, how long is this going to go? People put on their masks. People, avoid the crowd. Let's get it over with so we can get back to our lives. In the past, I mean, it's frustrating when you want to do fights as a matchmaker, but you have so many obstacles. I mean, there's so many fights you could have done or wanted to do, and a lot of times you get killed by one of those obstacles that could be a manager. Last ones to kill it would be a fighter, because look, at the end of the day, most of the time they're willing to step in the ring with anybody, and they want to step in the ring, but you have a lot of people around them saying, oh, right now is not the time. Even right now through the pandemic, getting fights turned down because, oh, we'll wait till it's better, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
But, Robert, let me ask you this. Before the whole pandemic thing, the COVID-19, don't you think that, because I've been saying this, I thought Eddie Hearn kind of changed the game, and honestly, I thought he was throwing out his wallet before cashing in by saying, I got $1 billion budget. Do you think that had something to contribute with some fighters that are kind of overlooking what they can get paid facing Canelo Alvarez by saying, hey, man, $5 million when they only get paid $700,000. They're saying, I want $5 million. Give me $5. That's chump money. Give me $10 million. We're not even worth that yet. Don't you think that kind of hurt the market for you guys?
Absolutely, because you're throwing out numbers that don't exist, and in a sense of, hey, look at this side. You want to come over here, or it's happened before. You want to put such a value and such a high purses But at the end of the day, any business, if you're there for the long run, can't be successful when you're just giving away free money. You know, it's going to come back sooner or later and bite you in the ass. It has to. You know, a lot of times we're pointing, oh, they don't want to pay. You'll hear that. And first of all, the fans don't know what we're paying. And it's one thing with us, and you've seen from the past, we don't like to throw out numbers. And, hey, we paid it. We personally, I've gone to Dan Rafael and said, hey, why do you like to post purses? Oh, people like it. No, people like it. The fans like it when he started or when people started throwing out these numbers. It's very dangerous for a lot of these fighters from other countries that are in very difficult and poor situations to throw out these high numbers. I'll give you an example. Jorge Linares had his brother put a gun to his head and carjacked in Venezuela. Venezuela is going through some horrible times right now. So when they hear purses of, let's just say, $1 million, they don't know that from the $1 million, you got to pay a manager percent, you got to pay the trainer percent, you got to pay cutman you got to pay tax. By the time it's $1 million turns into $300 or $400, which is still a lot of money over there, or Nicaragua or any other country, Mexico, the people are just reading headlines. And these people that are out to go, they can go easily and kidnap a family member and say, look, there's a ransom for this. So I've always been against that. The fans should be interested in fighter A versus fighter B. Not what network he's going to fight on or how many pay-per-views he'll sell or how much he's getting paid. That's none of our business. It's only, when he signs the baseball or basketball, okay. But every game, they don't tell you how much he's making or how. You keep reminding him it's only in boxing because obviously it's that every time there's that event.
I think one of the results of that too has just been like the explosion of the manager culture. Fans act like managers on Twitter, on YouTube, and I remember when I used to debate fights with people 10 years ago. It was all about skills. Now it's about how much money they make and what's the best business move. What do you think about that? Like the manager culture that's out there.
You're absolutely right. Look, in boxing, it's probably one of the only sports I can think of or in business where there isn't really a tech school that people go to. I didn't go to somewhere to say, I want to be a matchmaker tomorrow. Can you train me for this? It obviously happened, but you have so many walks of life in boxing that get in boxing. People, any type of industry, business, background or not, are in boxing. So I think a lot of it with social media, moistures, you got so many experts. And I say it in a good and a bad way because some of these experts out there are some of the best matchmakers, when I'm referring to fans. Because they'll come up with ideas of fights and they'll be like, yeah, that is a good fight. However, take in consideration this manager versus this manager or this trainer. I'm not going to take that fight because, he's too tall, he's a southpaw. There's some great ideas out there. But when they come into numbers, even people in the industry that have been in boxing so long, you'd be surprised how little they know when it comes to business part. They might know.
Yeah.
And it's so different than other sports. I mean, you never hear fans of Novak Djokovic and fans of Roger Federer debating how much money they're making. It's all about it's all about skills.
And you never hear, okay, let's say in baseball or basketball, the father and mother getting involved with, no, you know what, you can't travel to this city because I've had bad experience in that city, so no, I don't want you to play a game over there. It's very different. They have a manager, they have an agent, and they have a team. The general manager calls the shots, and the owner. I mean, it's very different. In boxing, everybody started having a voice, and it's good, a good opinion. But when people know the business, you know, you'll have a wife all of a sudden and say, "I'm going to be the manager," or you know, a female fighter. So it's very different. Who have you managed before? It doesn't matter because that's my spouse or that's my brother. He has the best interest. Yes, he does. But remember, when it's a father, a brother, somebody really close, all they're seeing is that tunnel vision. This is the best fighter in the world. Really? Why? Because I love him or because he's my son and he's the great. So it blocks the business part compared to who else have you worked with. Well, this is the only one, but I've worked with him.
That just goes back to what I was saying was like, I mean, I know the fans had contributed to that. I mean, Al Haymon wasn't talking about, you know, how much he was paying. It was the fighters themselves that were saying, "Hey, I'm getting paid a lot of money. Why would I want to do this?" But I was like, why is Eddie Hearn out there flaunting how much he's getting? I mean, I thought that was pretty dumb for him to do, and it's kind of caused some fights to be avoided or not happen because of the fact that he was saying, "Hey, this is what I." So I guess what I'm asking you guys is has there any been a point behind closed doors that anybody said, "Hey, ya cállate, way, like shut up, bro, be quiet already, let it," because it's difficult for us to make better fights happen.
It has been mentioned amongst a lot of promoters to each other, and some get it, and some will tell you, yeah, you're right, yeah, okay, let's not do that, let's work together, and then they go do it even more. Because remember, I mean, a lot of boxing and that little, you know, on the chest type thing, ha ha ha, I got over. At the end of the day, yeah, you might have got over one or here or there, but you're screwing yourself in the long run. Because good example, going through a pandemic, things are going to change. There's no gate, there's no attendance, there's no fans. So that affects right there your revenue. It has to affect your budget. So can you go back to that fighter that you were paying $1 million for a tune-up level fight and say, now I'm going to pay you $1 million or even less because of budget cuts, but now I'm put you in a real fight? The fighter's not used to that. They're going to be like, no. That's one thing. When you keep the market level where it should be, the fighters are earning their own money, and they're proud of it. Nobody's giving. I've always told fighters this. No matter how much they're paying, somewhere, they're going to get it back because nobody's in the business to lose money. So don't buy this up front here or there because they're not bonuses. They could be advances. They're going to get it back. Nobody's giving away free money. But when you're doing fights at a fair value, fair market, or maybe even above market a little bit, not extremely just overpaying because it's not your money, then it's easy. The transition right now, you know, because we've been right here, down, like going the same path. We're not really changing, and we haven't changed. You know, we haven't done the show, but we tried it a couple of times, and it just, again, it didn't go through because of the person. Okay, but here we are. We're going to make. We have the other fights going, and you'll see once they're reported. They're good. They're good purses. They are good purses, and we'll continue to do that because it's one thing to overpay and it's another thing to underpay. There's a fine line to obviously maintaining in business. And you know, you mentioned earlier, right now, one star, what has and potentially one coming up. What has me como se dice, like, tranquil, I'm calm, but just to keep doing our job, because just the mere fact that we've done it before, we know we can do it again. And what I mean by that is, remember that Deontay, Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, the Charlo, they all started with Golden Boy. They all debuted. Anna Cruz,
they did.
Abner Mata, they
yes.
all debuted. All of them. All the stars that today are the headlines over there, they all came through the farm system, if you want to call it. But we built
your guys' first champion was Abner Mars. Great,
Correct.
that was a great champion.
And it takes a lot of times they thought, at the beginning, like even when I started at Golden Boy, people were always saying, "Oh yeah, they have all the known champions because Barrera was there, Mosley and Marquez and Hop," right. But they they do not know how to build fighters. They only get them once they're built, because Golden Boy hadn't been around to have the time hadn't been put in to have a pro debut already be a champion. That was such a great kickstart, though. That was such a great kickstart. I mean, if you have a name, why not build off of it and bring every other person that was looking for something different? And that was a great opportunity. So I go back again, Robert. Again, you have, and you know what? I forgot one guy that I think is, honestly, the future for Golden Boy, and I don't think a lot of I don't even think are going to disagree with me on this here. Virgil, am I wrong about this, about wanting to buy stock in this kid? Is this kid something to look forward to? I mean, he's fucking phenomenal, man. Every time this game comes on, beautiful. I love this guy. Amazing. And here's the thing with Virgil. People tend to forget, he has it. Come on, he's 15 fights. I mean, he's already done more in those 15 fights than some established champions. And what I mean by that is he's already fought a couple former world champions himself, Yes,
he has.
He was a former world champion. He already fought Mauricio Herrera. He already fought Tosco. And he's done what he's supposed to do. If he's at that next level, he's done it. He hasn't struggled with any of them.
And he looks good every time he does it. That's the crazy part, is that there's always a flaw that you see with a fighter, right? There's always something that you go like, he needs to work on this. But every time I see this kid, because that's the one reason why I watch the sport, I love the sport, is when I tune in, I'll look at a dude, he's really work on his goddamn jab, or this. Like, his footwork is just terrible. Because I'm always looking for the 90s, 80s, because that's where I grew up on. The Barreras, Morales, the De La Hoyas, the Vargas. I always try to look for something to resemble that, where I can go, that's it. That's why I fell in love with the sport. When I see Ortiz, that kid, I go, dude, this guy, I mean, I can't find nothing with this kid yet. This kid has it all.
And the
I want to see.
There's so much he's still going to improve, and that's going to be beautiful to see, because he's just getting better and better as he gets more mature. His manhood comes in, and he gets round. Look, when we matched him with Mauricio, I love Mauricio Herrera. He's one of the most difficult fighters. Nobody has dominated or knocked out Mauricio. So it was like, I saw the pros and cons. I said, look, if Mauricio beats Virgil, it's okay. Virgil's going to get a lot of experience from this, and he's young.
Look how much Danny Garcia struggled with him.
Yeah, exactly. And then I said, if he doesn't knock him out, and still wins, okay, well, that's still valuable experience that you can buy. But if he knocks him out, holy crap! I mean, this is for real. And what did you?
So is it absurd? Robert, is it absurd to you when you hear people go like, well, if they lose Canelo, the only star they got is going to be, Ryan Garcia, when the truth is that isn't the star there for me? And maybe because I'm older, I'm in the 45s, but range and stuff. But to me, the kid Ortiz is a guy that you guys should really focus on. That's the kid that should be built up to this pedestal of what is the future of boxing, right? Because he's got all the traditional traits that we love of Mexicano fighters. That stays quiet, doesn't talk a lot of shit, not using the whole social media platform, and he speaks with his hands. I love that. Wow. Am I wrong about 100%. This? Or am I too old school?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And we saw it very early on. Look, the kid is very dedicated. Proof is when we called him a couple of weeks prior to the 4th of July show, hey, can you be ready? He was still in Texas, never stopped running, never stopped working out, but he hadn't been sparring. He said, I can't be ready for 4th of July, but I can be ready for July. Okay, we'll give you a few weeks. Get ready, you're on. And he was on. Remember, he was one of the first ones when the pandemic hit that got canceled. So It was right for him to be the next, the one to start the show after Ryan said no or his team said no to July 4th. But Virgil is dedicated 100% to boxing. He lives. Look, a lot of the traits that you'll see with a lot of the Golden Boy fighters is the same. That's one of the things that we look for is dedicated, because talent can take you so far if there's no dedication behind it.
And he's got a great team behind him.
Oh, absolutely. And Ryan, as much as everybody gives him slack because he's doing on the side, which he's doing tremendously. When it comes to the gym, he learns fast and he is very dedicated to the gym.
But that's got to be killing him, though, right?
And then we have
that's got to be killing him, though. I mean, Ernie, help me out here. I mean, social media, it can backfire on you in a heartbeat. Is this not backfiring on him, and how he's being so vocal about his disgruntled against Golden Boy? I mean, taking a jab at your boss, that's not a good look, is it? Am I wrong?
I think
we all learn from mistakes. I really do. Yep. I think we all learn from mistakes, and he's young.
But he's done it three times, though, Robert. I mean, you would say, okay, first time around, like, hey, listen, we're all parents here. If my bar pit that I on, and I said, hey, don't touch the pit, mijo, it's hot. And he touches it. That's the first time he learns. But this is the third time, I think, coming along with Ryan Garcia. I mean, when do we stop saying, okay, we got to give him a pass because he's a young kid? Go ahead,
Dave. Let me ask you this: if your son gets mad at you for not giving, for not getting the pair of Jordans that he had asked for, he gets mad at you. He gets mad. He gets over it. And again, you don't do something quite the way he wanted you to do it. He gets mad at you and gets over it. We have to understand, Ryan Garcia is a young man. He's got a lot of success kind of just thrown upon him. He kind of hit that right, stride where he got very popular very quickly, and to the point now where he's a crossover star to where boxing, is his great, but his popularity is clearly in the Instagram world, and I think he's trying to bridge that gap between what social media influence he has versus the old school kind of, hey, let's build a champion kind of thing. He's trying to, maybe he's trying to mesh the two, and he's having some growing pains out of it. I mean, it's not out of the question to where
I hear what you're saying.
He sees himself
right
as a crossover star, and he just wants to be able to translate it into the screen, into the room. But when you present him with facts and you present him with ratings and understanding where his place is in the boxing world, then you have to kind of come to this compromise and this common ground to where all are happy. And I think that's where he's trying to understand his worth.
Look, what I've told some of the people that have asked me, I said, look, for a couple, whether you're married or your girlfriend, if you're together long enough, argument. There's going to be a day where I'm not talking to you. There's going to be, but at the end of the day, you're still married. You move on. You move forward. You know, they say in Spanish, hasta en las mejores familias, even in the best families, there's disagreement. So
yes,
it's part of the growing pains, but it's also has a lot to do, and I'm not just saying in Ryan's case, in a lot of our fighters' cases, with some people, like, how do I put it? Some people send messages to them to cause this type of friction, and sometimes they use the media. Some of these reporters go in there with an agenda and already start instigating stuff. And I know of a couple of our guys already say, hey, that's not what I said, Robert. And I said, take the note down, remember who it was, and next time they come looking for you, remind them because it happens all the time. It happened to me when I was with Barrera. We did interviews, and it was like, hey, that's not what we said. But that's what
now it's worse than ever. I mean, we're in the clickbait generation.
Exactly.
Anything to get clicks.
Exactly. And now with social media added, we were talking about earlier, so many fans that are either the fighters fans or because they're not boxing fans. Seeing that more, that they're not even boxing fans. They're that fighter fan or that network fan. And all they're doing is like egging them on. Hey, yeah, man, you deserve more. Yeah, you're the. It's like, slow down. It's a process.
Right.
You guys, first stepped into the U.S. and fought at Morongo Casino against Larry Mosley. He made very little money, but he understood it's a process. Even when he fought Valdemir, it wasn't millions. I mean, so
but he understood the model, though. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like, and this not just Ryan Garcia. You know, I hope I'm not. I am bagging on the kid, but I think I'm bagging on anybody of this new generation, because I feel like, you know what, you guys, like, these guys are trying to change model that's worked. Like, okay, yeah, the other shit in boxing needs to be changed, but building up a star, building up your audience, and us yearning, want to see you. Why are you guys trying to change that? The money's going to be there. We're going to be there, especially when it comes to raza. We're going to be there. Like, we are the ones.
And you're absolutely right. There is a process. For instance, for amateur kids, or dreaming one day of going pro, what's the only thing on their mind at that time? I want to go pro because I want to be world champion, because I want to be a positive role model for other kids, because I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to be remembered to be great. Okay. Once they go pro, it doesn't change overnight. It's once they start making noise that all of a sudden have so many experts come into them and say, oh, you should do this. You need me for this. I can do this for you. I can do that for you. More. That's when they're there. Now, it all comes with the territory. In order to make more money, you got to basically put him on TV, promote him properly. He has to do his job in the ring. And then the networks are going to be calling you saying, what is it? You can't even networks because everybody wants a piece of I'm just giving it overall just an example.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where you have the leverage now. You've done your job. There's so many world champions today that nobody knows who they are. Even us in boxing, I don't know why. They're fighting once a year. How do you expect them to be popular? Now, okay, they're being told, what, you don't have to fight 3 times. Just fight once, and you're going to make what they make in 3. Okay, that's a good way of putting it. However, because they've been out, the rust sets in, and then they go lose. And then nobody's going to remember them because nobody ever saw them. When they fight often and win, continue winning, people know them. People still know them in the street. You know, I think it was one time Hearn did say this. What if they walked down the street, people knew who Joshua was. I
remember that.
In the U.S., everybody was going to know who Deontay was. In the UK, they're huge boxing fans. They would have known who Deontay was. So it's just the example was proper, but it wasn't proper with the fighter he was talking about.
I think to be fair though, Robert. To be fair now, everybody knows who his costume that he was wearing on the rematch is more known than him. Guys, I got to wrap this up. It was great, but I just got to point this out, and I think that I got to say this really quick. Robert, if I was you, I would sit down, and Ernie, this is for you too. I would sit down Ryan Garcia. This is what I would say to them, okay? Being, that we, all three of us probably could have kids his age. We probably do. I do have kids his age. I would sit them down and say, listen, mijo, we're going to make you a TikTok champion belt. Just fight Linares or fight Campbell. Do whatever it is. You're going to have, we're going to make you special gloves that say Instagram champion, and then it can be made. We're done. We're happy. Everybody's happy. We all can hug at the end of the day when they step into the ring and make that fight happen for us, right?
How about this? He's gonna have by the end of his next fight, he will have a WBC part of that world title because he will knock out Campbell.
Oh, yep. I want to see it. I want to see it. Ernie, what do you say?
I think that nothing changes. I mean, par for the course. I expect great things out of Ryan Garcia. I believed in that since before his Golden Boy days, and nothing's changed that. Like I said, I do think he just needs to kind of understand where he is and how we can get it focused, and so we can start going out for many. I mean, I do believe he beat Campbell. I think he's of the guys they're talking about at lightweight, and he's very right up there. I mean, if not the best. It's scary good how he can. It's scary how good he can be, considering he's only had 8 or 9 rounds under Eddie Reynoso as far as a professional fight. There's still nuances he's got to be made, and he's such a quick learner. I'd venture to say he can end up being the package as far as the fighter is concerned. And guys,
I hope,
and I'm excited.
Something real important that, it's a message to promoters, to fighters. Look, that it's beautiful. Very, very few, very selected fighters have been. The most important thing in the world. You know what? Muhammad Ali, that's my hero. I mean, Leonard, Duran, Hagler, Hearns, they all lost fights. Oscar, but people still remember them for the great fights they gave. So, lesson learned, fighters can lose and get better.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
To the promoters, let's put your best against our best. Everybody work together. At the end of the day, boxing wins, the fans win, and the fighters win. There's going to be promoters that today I lose a fight, they lose a fight. And that's okay. It's not baseball. We're not keeping score. Let's just put the best against the best.
That's what it comes down
now,
to, man.
I think Ronnie Rios is a better fighter now than when he was undefeated.
Yes. No, I have to agree with you.
I always go back to telling fighters that. I said, Jorge Linares, you would beat the undefeated fighter. The one today would beat the undefeated fighter of, and the same thing, I agree 100%. The Ronnie Rios today is mentally focused, strong. I mean, he lives, sleeps, and breathes boxing now because they mature. It gets to the point where I'm not what I'm doing. I have to do more, and then the hunger gets in.
I got to tell you guys this. If Ryan Garcia fights Campbell, I think that's a great fight, first off. I think that's by far the toughest fight for him. I think that myself and my co-host, we're picking Campbell to win that fight if it happens. But I'm not writing this kid off. I think this kid could be something. I think where we stand, or I stand, and a lot of fight fans, Stan, is we're frustrated because we're not seeing these fights kind of, fruition and stuff. Jorge Linares, phenomenal fighter. Want to keep seeing him. Amilcar, you got anything yet?
Yeah.
I'll let the guys go. Go for it.
No, yeah. For me, the Campbell prediction is based on in a gold medalist, and the fact that he only lost to two fighters in and Lomachenko. But no, I just want to thank both of you for coming on, spending so much time with us here on the show, and we hope to have you again.
Always a pleasure. Much for having me, and you are absolutely right. I mean, to date, Luke Campbell does present to be the toughest test, but that's the part of where we, and I'm not going to say just against everybody else, no, but we do stand a little bit apart from everybody else. Is our fights are, at a younger age, they're tested sooner. But that's okay because that's where you find out and the fighter learns from themselves. Look at Joshua Franco. If he didn't have those 3 fights with Negrete,
that's true.
We wouldn't have been so confident in winning the world title. We were very confident. Obviously, anything can happen once in the ring. You got to respect an undefeated world champion. But we were very confident as a team in whole because of what we saw in those.
It's crazy. Is it me or is it crazy when you see fans shit on you guys when you decide to make good fights? When you, like, as a matchmaker, you go like, this is a really tough fight, but I'm going to make it happen. And then the guy that people think is going to win doesn't win because they got matched with somebody equal. Does that ever blow your mind on Twitter when people are going like, yeah, they're golden boy, look what they did. They suck. They don't know how to match guys. Do we want matches or do we want competitive matches? I'm always
You hit it right on because you get that all the time. The fans complaining, for instance, right now, a good example. Boxing's really the only sport going on right now. So for us boxing fans, we should be very happy. Yet you see them, these fights suck. Right now it's very hard to make a fight in general because the pool's smaller, the borders are closed, so many rigorous trainings. Heart goes out to Jamel Herring and obviously our guy Oquendo. The fight fell out.
Right.
To Herring, I wish him all the best. He's a great, great champion, a great role model for all these young kids and a great person. So my heart out to him and hope, things get better soon. But never happy. Boxing fans are very, very different than any other sport. If the 49ers would have won the Super Bowl, and that's my team, I never would have gone back and said, yeah, but this Niner team wouldn't have beaten the team from the 80s. We don't do that in other sports. But in boxing, let's just say Canelo knocks out Golovkin. Yeah, but he wouldn't have knocked out Marvin Hagler. Well, guess what? He's not fighting Hagler. So right. They're never happy. If you don't like what you have on the tune, change the channel. Go to YouTube. Watch old fights. But let the other people enjoy it. So, yes, when I put them in tough, the first thing I hear is, they're trying to get rid of him. Huh? Why am I trying to get rid of him? They're just putting him tough to get beat. If he loses, bad matchmaking. If he wins, they don't give credit of like, oh, wow, they took a risk and look, it paid off. You know what? I get to the point where it's like, just make sure the teams are happy, the fighters are happy. And some people enjoy the fight after. But my goal is always, let's put on some fights. Let's put on some real stuff. There's a building process. And then there's time to step it up.
Well, there you go. Roberto Diaz and Ernesto Gabion from Golden Boy and Everlast here on Leaving the Ring. Guys, I appreciate every time you guys come back on here, man. It's always fun. Ernie, we have history. Robert, we have history here, man. It's great when you guys on. I just appreciate you guys coming on, being so honest and candid on the show, man. It's great. All the time you guys come through.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
I'll come on anytime.
Thank you,
Stay
guys.
safe, everybody. Stay strong, and we're almost over, hopefully.
Hopefully. But we have been seeing some fights even out in the UK and in the television studio. So I hope that continues out here as well.
I hope we get. Look, we're starting July 24th. I hope that's just the first of many to come this year. And through my head. With the matchmaking, it's all of a sudden you're watching a movie that gets boring, and you're like, hey, boom, a fight pops up in your head, or it just pops up every given moment. So there's a lot of things I have in mind that I want to present. It's just getting the data approved and moving forward.
Hey, I got an idea, Robert. I got an idea because you guys are in cahoots with the zone right now. The guys that they have on there doing the podcasting and stuff. Why don't you give my man Ernesto Gabion a segment? Convince them. I'd rather hear Ernie on. I'm being honest, Ernie. Yeah, I'd rather hear Ernie go up there and explain certain things on the podcast on the zone. Except, that Barack guy. Come on, man, please. Yeah, they're killing me. I'd rather.
Yeah. It's
Robert,
really
do
bad.
That,
I don't know. I honestly don't know a single boxing fan that likes those guys.
I don't know anybody that likes
not
those
a
guys.
single one. Not a single one.
Give Ernie a shot.
You actually go on Thursdays to Robert's show where he's with Beto Duran and Coach Joel Diaz every Thursday. That's a fantastic show.
Oh, I gotta check it out. But like I said, my goal is in for Ernesto Gabion to go on DAZN and have his own podcast so we can explain certain things to the fans. I think that'd be a great show. He did a fantastic job when he used to do the boxing lab here on Lead the Ring. Give him a shot, Robert. I'm for that. There's my name right there. Let's push it, bro.
There you go. I love it. Thank you.
All right, guys. You guys take care.
All right.
Have a great night.
Take care, you guys.
You too. Take care.
So there you go, man. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here on Lead the Ring. I hope we answered a lot of you guys' questions here. We obviously didn't get to the heavyweight report or about Keith Thurman saying that he wants his comeback and immediately he wants to go after Errol Spence, but then he contradicted himself, saying, well, that's if if they want to give me somebody else to run it with inside the ring, I'm okay with that. Did you see that? Did you read that?
I was actually talking about it for about 5 minutes myself, Dave, before I realized that we were no longer on the air. So, yeah.
What are your thoughts about that, bro? Come on, tell me really quick before we get off there. We have 7 minutes.
My thoughts on both Keith Thurman and Errol Spence is that they've been inactive for a very long time. I really don't know where they are, what they've been doing, especially given the pandemic. And it's kind of, once you stop seeing people fight, you kind of stop caring about them a little bit. So, I'm not as interested in Keith Thurman as I was like 3-4 years ago. I'll just say that.
His stance is like, you know what? I want an elite immediately. And I'm just like, what happened to the other?
But he had a chance for an elite immediately before, and he didn't want to do it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What happened to that guy? That guy that was saying like, oh, no, I need to tune up, body, etc. Yeah. Now he's calling out. He wants a rematch. He says that I think I've proven I deserve a Manny Pacquiao rematch. And I'm like, proven with what? You lost the first fight. You haven't done anything. Then he brings up Mikey Garcia. Yeah. Then he brings up Mikey Garcia. Like Mikey Garcia is a top elite 147-pounder who struggled with Jesse Vargas. I'm like, dude, what do you think?
He's an elite 135-pounder.
Yes.
He struggled when he went to 147. He was out of his weight class. I just, look, he's probably got a bunch of bills he has to pay, expensive ones. He wants a big payday like anybody else would. But
I agree.
When I think of the fighters I want to see when this pandemic's over and the fights I want to see, Keith Thurman, unfortunately, does not come to mind.
No, especially when you're saying I would go into an Errol Spence fight immediately and then say, but you know what? If he wants to tune up and I want to, why not? If Mikey Garcia, and that was his immediate go to Mikey Garcia. And you know what they told me?
He's a name and he's a smaller guy.
Exactly. You know what that said to me immediately? It was like, oh, we want to out. That's all he's looking for. He's looking for a payday. That's it. I get it. I would actually be what he was saying if he would just take like amount of said, guys. I don't care about the sport. I just want to make my money.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yep. That's
Anyways,
it, Dave. So
yeah.
Hopefully we can sort out the issue, and because we obviously do want to get both, with the calls and with the chat. So I know we're going to get it all sorted out.
Yeah, we need Kenny. That's the bottom line. We need Kenny back here. Leaving the ring until we can get these issues resolved. But anybody that tuned in, and I apologize because the phone lines were filled up, but these were 2 interviews that I wanted to get done because I thought they were very important. There were some issues that I wanted to find out and hear from the guys from the business side and to clear up. And the glovegate was definitely cleared up. And then Robert Diaz, I think that the stronger that he is, stood up to a lot of the questions that we had that were kind of jabbed at him. He blocked them, and he kind of said, okay, this is what it is. You know what I like about Roberto Diaz is no matter how many times he comes on here, and I've told him I'm not a fan of Ryan Garcia. Am I rooting for the kid? Yes, because I love boxing, but I'm not a fan. And he's always willing to come back on the show and say, okay, I'm going to take your questions. And I think he already knows that I'm going to put on my hater hat or drink the Hatergator, whatever they call it. What do they call that nowadays? I don't even think
Haterade.
But the Haterade. And he does it. So kudos to those two guys.
Whether or not he has his disagreements with his fighter, he always has his fighters back for the most part when he's speaking to the media and giving interviews. Yeah,
well, he's got to. I mean, they're part of his company. Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to say like, fuck Ryan Garcia, that little piece of shit, little snot-nosed kid. Even though that would have been great radio if he would have just finally just said, let's stick out on like, oh my God, I would have loved it. But I knew that it wasn't going to happen here on not this time around here on maybe when their contract is done with and Ryan Garcia has finally found his way out, because I think that's what the kid's looking for his way out of Golden Boy's contract. I don't know if it's going to happen. And then I think that we're going to find out whether or not how difficult the kid was. But I think Robert was giving us the subpar truth of what he's dealing with. But that's a true professional there. Anyways, Amilcar, I think we're going to go too long here on Leave the Ring. Until next week, brother.
You too, man. And we'll be in touch soon.
Absolutely. Here we go.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, leave it in the ring.
Sorry about that. I didn't even know I was on mute and stuff. Forgot I put myself on mute. Anyways, like I said, sorry about yesterday's show. Wanted it to be live, but unfortunately, just on my end, the internet sucks over here in Northern California at Modesto, Riverbank. And so I just thought, hey, I just come back and just replay the audio and then see if it works out. But again, I'll try to be on Friday so we can, tackle on some of the stuff that's been happening in boxing, and then maybe talk a little bit about the fights that have been up on Top Rank as well. Anyways, tune in hopefully Friday, and then always tune in on Monday night, man. You guys all take care.